Noah Taylor is Head of Operations at the Norwegian Refugee Council in Sudan. He joins us from Darfur. Really good to have you with us, Noah. Darfur, as we know, has been considered the epicenter of the current civil war that's unfolding in Sudan. Tell us what you've witnessed in your time in Darfur and what your organization has documented.
I've spent the last several weeks travelling across the Darfur region, and what I've seen is a situation of utter devastation. Communities are torn apart, families are being separated, and this has been an incredibly bleak and violent year for the people of Sudan. We have had famine declarations in multiple parts of the country, surging violence across the Darfurs with this horrific peak of violence in and around Al Fasher. As well as violence spreading out to the Kordofans as well. The Sudanese people have suffered immeasurably, communities are shattered and are barely holding together. This is an incredibly dark time for Sudan. The Norwegian Refugee Council has been able to reach, we're on track to reach 3 million people at the end of this year, and that is despite these horrendous consequences. But this is really band-aids for bullet wounds when it comes to the impact that this war is having on communities, that it is having on civilians. It is an incredibly dark time for Sudan, and something needs to happen right now.
I mentioned there a report by the Jihad network which alleges that rape has been used as a weapon of war. That would certainly be a war crime. Have you seen evidence of war crimes in your work, in your organization's work in Sudan during this conflict?
Look, multiple credible and independent bodies have documented serious violations across Sudan that could amount to war crimes. The Norwegian Refugee Council is not a legal entity, and we do not make legal determinations. However, we see the impact of these violations on civilians and communities every single day. I've just come back from Tawila, and the stories that I have heard, particularly from women and girls, are truly horrific, honestly stomach-churning. These are women who report being raped multiple times. These are people that have been detained, that have been harassed, whipped, beaten. I met a man who had his brother shot in front of him when he refused to pay money to be released and was then forced to dig a grave for his brother. He managed to flee and was shot at as he was running away and made it to Tawila, where we were able to provide some basic assistance. But these atrocities are having an immeasurable impact on people, destroying communities and destroying the very fabric of many of Sudanese society. There is very little accountability for these atrocities, and we need significant and escalating pressure from the international community to hold the warring parties accountable, to respect international humanitarian law, and to allow humanitarian access.
And we know this war in Sudan has been raging for more than 2 years now, and it's only now that media outlets around the world are giving it some attention. There is a growing sense of frustration within Sudan that the international community isn't doing enough to address what's going on in Sudan. Is that your view as well? What should the international community be doing?
Look, when I speak with Sudanese people across Darfur, people are fed up. They are fed up. They are sick of feeling abandoned and essentially resigned to letting this conflict play itself out in whatever direction that takes. There is simply not enough consistent diplomatic pressure to actually bring the warring parties together to force an end to this conflict. We have seen mediocre efforts across the course of this year and last year that have amounted to absolutely nothing and fundamentally culminated in these attacks and atrocities that we saw in Al Fasher. These incidents only happen when there is impunity for warring parties to act as they please and to devastate the civilian population. Where is the collective political will to end this conflict? Where is the leadership globally coming together to protect the Sudanese people? Because right now they feel completely abandoned.
Okay, Noah Taylor, we will have to leave it there. But thank you so much again for joining us, and the best of luck with your work in Sudan.